What you're seeing on screen is Russia's most advanced combat aircraft, the Su-57 Felon. It's often presented as a rival to the F-35 Lightning II and the F-22 Raptor, a jet designed to match the West's most advanced air superiority and strike platforms. On paper, it has everything it needs: stealth, supercruise, cutting-edge sensors and avionics. But here's the real question. If the Su-57 has all the ingredients of a next-generation fighter, why does it rarely appear in real combat? While American and Allied designs have built proven track records, the Su-57 has spent most of its life in the shadows, kept far from active battlefields, and even abandoned by its closest development partner. This is the story of the Su-57 Felon, the jet that was supposed to redefine Russia's air power, but hasn't yet proven it. The doubts surrounding the Su-57 didn't begin on the battlefield, they began at its birth. The program traces its roots back to 1979, when the Soviet Union launched the search for a next-generation fighter that could surpass anything the West had. But after decades of delays, cancelled prototypes, and finally the collapse of the USSR, the dream went dark. It wasn't until 2001 that the newly formed Russian Ministry of Defense resurrected the idea. But there was a problem. The budget was nowhere near what a true next-generation aircraft required. This financial pressure shaped everything that followed. When Sukhoi won the competition, they had to make compromises from day one. Instead of designing entirely new systems from scratch, they turned to what they already had. The Su-47 was used as a testbed for internal weapon bays. The Su-27 airframe helped develop flight control systems. Sukhoi essentially stitched together its most advanced parts to create something that could become a next-generation fighter, but only if the funding eventually caught up. It never truly did. To share the burden, Russia invited India to join the program as a development partner. At the time, the collaboration looked like a lifeline: shared costs, shared technology, and a guaranteed export customer. But years later, India walked away, and that decision mattered. Because when a major buyer, one willing to invest billions, pulls out citing concerns about stealth performance, cost, and engine maturity, it sends a clear signal that something isn't adding up behind the scenes. The Su-57 story began with ambition, but it also began with limits that would follow the aircraft into every stage of its development. So let's break down why many analysts believe the Su-57 isn't as advanced as it appears on paper. This is where the Su-57 story shifts. Because the aircraft does have ambitious ideas baked into its design, but many of those ideas remain ideas. On paper, the Su-57 follows the familiar rules of low observable design: faceted surfaces, aligned edges, internal weapon bays to hide missiles. But in reality, the aircraft's geometry prioritizes aerodynamics and supermaneuverability over deep stealth. Large exposed engine intakes, round rear exhaust nozzles, no serpentine ducts to shield the compressor face, and no canopy radar reflective coating like on the F-22 or F-35. Independent assessments estimate the Su-57's radar cross-section at around 1 square meter. Smaller than a fourth-generation fighter, but nowhere near the tiny signatures of the F-22 or F-35. It is stealthier than most Russian jets before it, but it's not built around stealth the way its Western counterparts are. As for the engines, the Su-57 was supposed to be powered by the Azdalia 30 engine, high-thrust, lower-infrared signature, a true next-generation power plant. But the aircraft entering service today don't use that engine. They rely on the AL-41F1 derived from the Su-35. It's a good engine, but not the one the Su-57 was designed for. The result? No reliable supercruise, higher fuel burn, a larger thermal signature which directly hurts stealth, survivability, and range. The Su-57 promises an advanced integrated sensor suite, AI-assisted decision tools, networked warfare capabilities, real-time data fusion, all similar to what makes the F-35 so powerful. But here's the challenge. With only a small number of operational aircraft and ongoing difficulties producing AESA radar modules at scale, there's little evidence that the Su-57 systems reach that same level of fusion and integration. It's a case of impressive ambition meeting the limits of production reality. Then there's the airframe itself. Reports indicate the Su-57 uses 20 to 30% composite materials, far below the F-35's 40% plus composite structure. That difference matters, especially for durability, weight, and stealth consistency. Footage from inside production facilities also shows noticeable fit and finish issues. Wide panel seams, inconsistent surface coatings, and rough edges that are unusual for a stealth-oriented aircraft. And the internal weapons bay, another key stealth feature, appears extremely tight. It can carry missiles like the K-77M, but many older R-77 variants don't fit without modifications. The Su-57 is filled with impressive design ideas, but many of them were constrained by cost, production challenges, or incomplete systems, leaving the aircraft somewhere between a very advanced fourth-generation jet and the true fifth-generation platforms it was meant to compete against. So, the legacy of the Su-57 is questioned because of two things: production and combat record. When the program began, Russia envisioned a fleet of more than 200 aircraft, with India expected to become both a co-developer and a major export customer. But that vision collapsed quickly. India, one of the few countries capable of investing in a fifth-generation fighter, walked away. And that decision wasn't just financial. It was a signal, a sign that a major partner doubted the aircraft's stealth performance, its systems maturity, and even its promise of supercruise, which is considered a baseline capability for modern fifth-generation jets. Without India's funding or orders, Russia was left to carry the entire burden alone, and production numbers reflect that reality. Instead of the original 200-plus airframes, only a small handful have reached operational units. Most remain in limited service, pre-series testing, or somewhere in the long pipeline between prototype and combat readiness. In other words, the jet that was supposed to reshape Russia's air dominance is still trying to enter mass production. Then there's the combat record, or lack of one. Reports claim the Su-57 has been deployed in Syria and Ukraine, but the available evidence shows something far different. The aircraft operating far from the front lines, launching long-range missiles from deep within Russian airspace. This cautious approach suggests two possibilities. Either the numbers are too small to justify risking the aircraft, or the jet still isn't ready for high-intensity missions where stealth, sensors, and survivability are tested for real. So what do we make of the Su-57? It is, without question, an aircraft built on ambition. A jet meant to show that Russia could stand alongside the world's top aerospace powers even after decades of financial strain, technological setbacks, and shifting global politics. And on paper, the ambition is all there. Stealth, super maneuverability, advanced sensors, next-generation engines that promise to transform its performance. But the reality is more complicated, because an aircraft isn't defined by what it could be. It's defined by what it proves it can do. And the Su-57 hasn't had that moment yet. Its production remains limited, its systems are still maturing. Its most important technologies, the engines, the avionics, even the stealth shaping, are still caught between intention and execution. And its combat record tells the clearest story of all. Russia is not yet willing to risk the Su-57 in the environments it was built for. Not because the aircraft is useless, but because its numbers are few, its development is ongoing, and its real capabilities remain uncertain. So, today, the Su-57 lives in a strange place. Not a failure, not a breakthrough, something in between. A symbol of what Russia wants its future air power to be, and a reminder of how difficult it is to build a true fifth-generation fighter in the modern world. Until next time, fly high and stay curious.